Hey guys, and you're gonna believe this is the third fucking attempt I've actually made at responding to not this particular comment specifically, but comments I've been receiving on my review of Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3. Now the issue, Maggie, go away. That's my dog. Sorry, as you know. As everyone knows. As anyone who follows me would know, that's my dog. Get out of here. Go lay down. Specifically with the Ninja Gaiden 2 segment, most people agree with me on 3. I only received like one person who was getting on my case about 3, mainly by saying that, oh, there are other weapons in 3, which is complete horseshit. I mean, there are, technically, but the swords don't work any differently. I think there might be stronger technically, but they don't. Their combos are the same. The mechanics are always the same. So mentioning that there are 3 different swords in Ninja Gaiden 3 really is a bit of a moot point when it never changes the gameplay at all. And that was the only real issue that anyone had with my point about Ninja Gaiden 3, because that game sucked on almost every level. Maybe Razor's Edge is better. I never played Razor's Edge, obviously, because I don't play fixer games. Usually. But the issue with Ninja Gaiden 2 is that people were getting on my case mainly by saying that many have been very hostile, because the thing about the Ninja Gaiden fanbase is that they're very elitist, similarly to the Dark Souls fanbase, actually. In that, because the games are hard, they consider that anybody who's either not good at them, or doesn't like them to be lesser gamers. They are not as, hardcore as them because you don't play Ninja Gaiden. To clarify, I've played and enjoyed the original Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. The first game, that game is awesome. I really like that one. So this idea that, oh, you just suck at the game, you're not good at Ninja Gaiden, you can't get into it, is completely ludicrous. Especially when you consider the fact that the biggest points I was having with the game were mostly that it was too easy, at least on Acolyte and Warrior. Warrior's normal, Acolyte is easy, I believe. At least that's how it works. Maybe Acolyte's normal and Warrior's hard. I don't quite know I don't remember what the specific words translate to. Either way, the problem was that you're pressing the Y button too much, essentially devolving them into a button masher. And I think when I say the word button masher, people get really offended, implying that if you just sit there and just, let's get my controller, if you just do this, you'll win. That's not true, technically. Because when I was saying button masher, I mean that oftentimes the gameplay would revolve around simply mashing the Y button down, for the most part. You might have to dodge, that's true, or block. But for the most part, the Y button was the predominant button you were pressing almost all the time. It's a far cry from the original game, which was not like that at all. The Y button was on a delay, actually. Y button's heavy attack, and X button is light attack. The Y button's on a delay, in the original game, like it should be, because it's a heavy attack. So basically, the strategy, to get to your heavy attacks, which do more damage, you would have to combo into it. Which makes sense. That's not the way Ninja Gaiden 2 works. They're like, well, it's faster, it's more fluid, so the game flows better. That's true, but when you can basically ignore the X button and still win, I consider that a bit of a problem. And while it's not entirely accurate to say that you ignore the X button, because there are some broken combos that really exploit certain AI bugs. Like I say, with the Lunar and the XXY combo, which almost always decapitates the enemy, which obviously kills them. But specifically the Scythe and Raining Blood, which completely throws off AI. They do not know what to do. I even had footage of that happening, and that's something that does translate over into the harder difficulties. The AI remains very much the same. But the big issue that people keep coming up with is that the footage, and my complaints came mainly from not Master Mode. Not Master Ninja Mode. The footage itself came from Acolyte. Most of my complaints revolved around Acolyte and Warrior. I played it on Warrior when I first played the game. The footage came from Acolyte, and that's only because it was just faster and easier to get the footage that way. I didn't need to play, to get footage from the harder difficulty modes to make the points I needed to make, since most of my issues were with the glitches with the game, which exist on no matter what fucking difficulty you're playing on. I don't care whether it's on Master Mode. In fact, for when I played Master Mode tends to be a lot buggier than Warrior, but I'll get to that in a second. But the reason I'm making this video specifically, and I'm gonna highlight most of these points in this response, I've gotten a lot of haters. However, there's one guy who disagrees with me almost completely when it comes to Ninja Gaiden 2, and yet he made a very long comment, yet it was civil. It was a response, it was a debate. It was him just saying, hey, look, I disagree with you, let me go through and let me explain why. And that is something that's very rare on YouTube. Usually when people disagree with me, they get really mad and, you know, insult me or say, oh, you just suck at the game, which, again, isn't true. If you did listen to me, you would know that. But this guy actually decided to sit down and actually, you know, construct an argument. You know, like an intelligent person, you know, should be able to do. And I was actually floored. I actually didn't read the comment at first. Because for some reason today, specifically, the Ninja Gaiden 2 video has, like, exploded with comments. I don't know whether someone posted it on a forum or what, but somehow I've been getting more and more comments on it lately, mostly negative ones. But this guy is the one where I'm like, you're being reasonable. I think I'm gonna respond to you, and I did. And how I'm gonna handle this video, since I failed at doing it the last 2 times, because the last 2 times I got really hostile, and I didn't like how I was reacting to things in the videos. I came off as very arrogant, and I hate doing that. So I decided, so I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna try to be a bit friendlier this time, because when I made the first 2 videos, I was really annoyed, so that's why I came off as just kind of a dick. So we're gonna try to not do that this time. So I'm not gonna give out his name because I don't know whether he wants to be noted. If you do, you know who you are. Again, I'll read your comment. You'll know it's you. And you know you can respond if you want. I don't care. But I'm gonna read the comment, and I actually posted a very long response to him in text. That way I knew he would get, because I'm not sure if he's a subscriber or not, so he may not even see this video. But I'm going to read his points, because his points basically highlight every single argument I've ever gotten about Ninja Gaiden 2, and I will read my responses and probably elaborate a little bit on them. So let's go. So this is him. So I watched your review of this game, and I just want to say that I'm glad your style of reviewing has changed. See, he's seen my original Ninja Gaiden review, which sucked. I think you certainly improved in that aspect of your reviews compared to the first Ninja Gaiden 2 review you made. But in all honesty, the issues I had with the first one still remains in your current Ninja Gaiden 2 review, which is to say that it's not a fair one. A lot of these so-called issues you brought up with the gameplay could be fixed if you were to play at a higher difficulty level, but I'm going to get into that later. I'd like to first get into a few points you made. Point number 1. Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 wasn't just released as a fix-it title. It was released so PS3 owners can enjoy Ninja Gaiden 2 as well. Your personal distaste for the game aside, the original Ninja Gaiden 2 for the 360 was pretty well received, so they wanted to branch out in this title to PS3 owners. Granted, there were improvements to this one, but it wasn't solely a fix-it title, and to look at it in this manner really robs people of a pretty good gameplay experience. Which my response to that was, my point was that I don't like having to pay for the same game twice to get a competent version. Whether it was well received or not, Ninja Gaiden 2 on the 360 was, and still is in many ways, a buggy mess when it first came out. While it is true that the fanbase was willing to tolerate this overall, it doesn't change the fact that the bugs were there. Which was my big issue with Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma. It felt like almost a betrayal, in a way, because Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma fixed like almost every bug that you could possibly find. It was a very, very, very neat game. It was they went in and fixed almost everything. And comparing that to the launch on the 360, which was buggy as shit, was almost disgusting. I actually played Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. I did play it. I have played that one before, and I actually kind of liked that one. It's not bad. And it is probably fair to say that it's not an outright fix-it game. It's not like Alone in the Dark Inferno or like Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, which were outright straight up, we fucked up the first time, let's fix this now, fix-it games. Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma was primarily a port, but it did fix a lot of the issues I had with the 360 version, which is why I still kind of consider it a fix-it game, because the version on the 360 is it was so fucking trashy when it came out. To see them make to release a better version that has all the bug fixes on the PS3 Solo felt a little bit of like a slap in the face, you know? His second point. Those who bought the original Ninja Gaiden 2 for the 360 weren't actually pissed off for it. This is another problem I have where you're trying to pass off your personal perception off as fact, when in reality it's just your individual perception. You might have a point with Razor's Edge, but not with its previous title. my response to that. I wasn't the only one pissed off about the state of the 360 version. True, the reaction wasn't nearly as loud and unanimous as the one for 3, but it was there. And that's my initial point. Like, I wasn't the only one mad about it. I wasn't. I mean, my initial review was done with 2 people. You know, me and a friend. We were both mad for the same reasons. And we weren't the only ones. I mean, it wasn't as unanimous. You know, it wasn't. Doesn't mean the problems weren't there. He says, you say that the gameplay for Ninja Gaiden 2 was sucking the fun out of the first title. This is a pretty relative statement, however, from what I've seen, Ninja Gaiden 2 improved in terms of its core gameplay compared to the first one. It was much more fluid, it played a lot smoother than the previous titles, you had a huge variety of weapons to choose from, and added bonus of the obliteration technique made it very satisfying, which gets me to my next point. To respond to that, did I say that? The part about sucking the fun out of it is apparently a quote. I don't remember saying that. However, I'm not gonna say that I didn't because it's been a while since I watched the review, so I may have made that offhanded comment. Regardless, I don't recall if that's an actual quote or not, but regardless, it's true that Ninja Gaiden 2 did improve on the fluidity of combat in many aspects. When the game is functioning properly, glitches aside, it can be fun. It can be a fun and satisfying experience. My issue is less with the mechanics themselves and more with the balancing and the enemy AI. Which is accurate. The actual mechanics are very fluid. This is true. Combat is very quick. It's very satisfying. You can chain combos together very easily. It's very rewarding in that sense. My problem with the weapons specifically was less the mechanics and more the damage output. For not a lot of effort. You didn't have to try to kill things. There was no discernible effort that you had to put in order to get results out of these weapons. You could button mash in many aspects. And some very easy combos, I'll get to this later, but there were some very easy combos to do that would really, really break enemy AI, or instant kill enemies, and I don't consider that good design at all. Especially when the enemy AI is freaking retarded. Anyway, back to his point. His next issue, your gameplay footage is that from either Acolyte mode or normal mode. And any fan of the game will tell you that button mashing when you play those modes will get you killed. It will not. Because I did this. And I didn't die. Okay. This is another problem I have with your particular review for this title, is because it's not a very fair one. Your problem with button mashing can be easily solved by playing on a harder difficulty. I think he might have mistyped here, because he said, if you button mashing when you play those modes will get you killed, but then he goes on to say, this problem will be fixed if you play on a hard difficulty. So I think what he meant if you button mash on a higher difficulty setting, it'll get you killed, which is accurate. I will clarify that. That is actually quite accurate, which is something I didn't say in the review. And I should have. That is. I will concede on that bit. Anyway, my response is that the footage I took, I think, was from Acolyte. I don't recall. It's been a while. It may have been Warrior. I don't remember which mode I used. It may have been Acolyte because the footage was easier to get, but I don't quite remember. I honestly think it was Acolyte though, just for the footage. Just because footage. I didn't really care about a super hardcore challenge that I already played it before. I just needed footage of the game. So that's why Acolyte worked. So that's, I assume that's what my mindset was. I'm willing to bet that's what I thought. Anyway, regardless, just because the footage came from the lower modes doesn't mean I didn't play Master. In addition, you can only play Acolyte or Warrior in the beginning, and you have to beat the game on those modes to unlock the harder ones. If someone says that button mashing on Warrior or Acolyte will just get you killed, they are incorrect, as I played most of the game by doing the patented press Y strategy, and it does work. True, you'll have to dodge every now and then, but overall there is very little reason to hit other buttons, which is a far cry from the original Xbox game. The player shouldn't have to play through the game once to get a mode that's actually good. Granted, you are correct when you say that the button mashing strategy does not work on Master. At all. Seriously, don't do that, you'll die. But it doesn't excuse the state of the rest of the game. And my main issue here is that if I have to play through the game once already, when it's too easy, to unlock the mode that's actually good, I consider that a bit of a problem. Especially, again, that wasn't the way Ninja Gaiden Black was on the Xbox. Normal mode would beat your ass for the same kind of strategies you pull in Ninja Gaiden 2. Mashing Y would get you killed. it's rewarding to do that almost. I would say that is a bit of a problem. That is my big issue with the game. Really, is that it's not. Master mode may be harder. Yes, it is. Doesn't mean the rest of the game should be the way it is. It's not. It doesn't justify it. Is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, moving on. You then talk about the speed of the weapons. The Dragon Sword, to be exact, not changing when you level up your weapons. That's not true. Anyone who has played the game can tell you that the Dragon Sword in its first level is nowhere near as fluid or as variable as it is in, let's say, its fourth level. There's a notable difference. This point confuses me. This is my response, but it does confuse me. I'm not sure if I wasn't clear in the review or what, but my actual complaint was that one of the main reasons why mashing Y works is that the heavy attack isn't any slower than the light attack, giving the player very little reason to actually combo into heavier moves like they should, which is true. In addition, leveling up your weapons is something you can do in the game, and I did quite often. You get more combos for doing so. I don't remember, there was a point where I said that, leveling up doesn't do anything, which is wrong. If I said that, that's wrong. That's very, very, very wrong. I don't remember saying that at all. I don't know why I would have, because that's wrong. Leveling it up, I think what I was trying to say was that leveling up you get more combos for doing so, and the weapon gets more powerful, but it's already so frickin' strong on level 1, you can already get away with a lot, just from the start. You don't need to level it up. Oh, you do, but you will, and you can, and it's a good idea. But my issue was that the same combos you do at level 1 are the same combos you will end up doing on level 3. There are combos that you get, but you will never do them because the same strategy that worked at level 1 will work at level 3. Is what I think I was trying to get, the point I was trying to get across. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. That was my issue. I wasn't trying to say that you shouldn't level up, because you should. Because I think the power output does increase, and you expect to beat the later bosses. You probably want a weapon that's at least level 3. I wouldn't want to go in to fight, the frickin' Greater Fiend with a frickin' level 1 weapon. That sounds like death. No matter what difficulty you're on. That's a terrible decision. But my point was that from the regular game's perspective, you don't have to do any new combos by when you level it up, because the same strategy works at level 1 that does at level 3. That's what I was trying to say. I think that's what you were thinking. I don't know whether you got mixed up or if I said something wrong, but that's what I think you were trying to say. Next point, he says, again, this isn't an issue of pressing the Y button, it's an issue where you're playing at a very rudimentary level. Why is the normal game considered rudimentary? That should not be. I mean, I didn't respond to this yet, this is my response, but I'm just saying, like, that comment just blows me away a little bit, because the idea that normal is just rudimentary, you really need to play it on Master, that's the main game! That's the first, playthrough you play! So what you're saying is, anyone starting up the game new who can't play Master Mode from the start is in for a rudimentary experience until they beat the game once. That's dumb. That's bad. That's very bad. That should not be. So, there you go. Sorry. Moving on. This is just a common sense now that any gamer would know. Playing on a harder level will require more skill and a different tactic. Yes, it does. And in this game's case, it's a huge difference. You can simply look up gameplay videos on YouTube to see a notable difference. My response to that, again, you shouldn't have to play on the unavailable at the start Master Mode to get a good experience out of the game. Ninja Gaiden Black wasn't like that at all. This is correct. That's what I was trying to say just now. The idea that for one, he calls the main game, the normal game, rudimentary is ludicrous. The fact that's your first foot forward, that's the game's first foot forward, and that's rudimentary, and the real game is Master Mode, which you have to unlock, I think is absolutely asinine. Not that what he's saying is asinine, he's probably right. But what I'm saying is that the game shouldn't be designed that way then. It shouldn't be designed that way. That shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to play through a rudimentary experience to get through to the good part. That's just you shouldn't have to. Simple as that. Your issue about exploiting something in a game, again, can be changed with simply adjusting the difficulty level to a harder level. That's not necessarily true. Many of the AI bugs that exist in normal mode are in master mode as well. It's just they're harder to exploit because there's more enemies in general. And as far as every weapon being broken goes, like I said before, the game is about fluidity. So the weapons are supposed to be a little more free-flowing than its predecessor. Doesn't mean it's easier, though. Again, especially on the hard level. But it is easier. On normal mode, at least. Master mode. In fact, Master mode is probably easier than Master mode on Ninja Gaiden Black was. It is easier. That is a fact. I don't care what anybody says. It is easier. Simply put. How much easier is, is beside the point. It is easier. But my actual response to him directly, and again, I shouldn't have to do that. Fluidity is great, but when it ruins the gameplay, it's a problem. Again, I admit that on Master Mode, doing proper combos and actually, trying is preferable if you expect to win. And yes, Master Mode is a lot harder. Yes, the game will beat your ass for button mashing on Master Mode. This is a fact. But you shouldn't have to unlock the good part of the game. The main game should be challenging. The main game should be rewarding. The main game should not be able to be played effectively by pressing the Y button consistently. That should not be that way. That is my big point when it comes to the gameplay. All the weapons in this game require combos, Darkness. Again, you can do combos with all of them, and again, playing on a harder difficulty does require a more skill than average button mashing. I think you just mistyped. Again, this is more of an issue with you not being able to play the harder difficulty. See, now this guy, he got a little borderline insulty here, but I sort of let it go. My direct response to him was, funny, I actually mentioned the combos at one point, mostly to point out that a lot of the really broken ones are too easy to do, such as Raining Blood with the Scythe and the XXY combo with the Lunar. And yes, that is correct. There was an entire segment in the review about the combos. First of all, on not Master Mode, you don't have to do combos. Well, I mean, you can do combos, but they'll be just single button combos. That will get you by. It does. It's true. I don't care if someone says no, you get beat up if you just do combos. That probably means they're not very good at the game. That is what that means to me. Because the way I played it, for what I played, on the difficulty modes that aren't Master, again, I stress that. But you don't really have to focus on doing combos. However, if you do, as I did, because I mentioned several of the combos, many of the ones that you can do are too easy for what you get out of them. Specifically, XXY with the Lunar, which is a combo I specifically mentioned. Sorry, my dog shook her head. What that combo will do is it basically rear rushes forward and smashes the Lunar down straight. It's a very easy combo to pull off. The issue with this combo is that it almost guarantees you're going to decapitate the enemy, which is an insta-kill. So XXY with the Lunar is basically an insta-kill move. Not always, but for the most part, yes, it is. That is a little ludicrous. But the worst combo, that's barely a combo to be honest, but it is technically, is called Raining Blood, which again is a combo I specifically mentioned, where you jump and you press the Y button with the Scythe, and that's all you do. The issue with Raining Blood is that it completely throws off enemy AI. It used to throw off the bosses. They actually updated it to fix that now. Bosses aren't thrown off by it anymore, which is good. That's a good change. That's a good thing. It means the game's a little bit better than it was, because it used to throw bosses completely off. They had no idea what to do. It wasn't me, but my friend who I did the initial review with, Regino, he actually had footage of him fighting Zidonius doing nothing but Raining Blood, and Zidonius couldn't even hit him. It was that bad. That is fixed. I tested that with Zidonius specifically when I did my footage. I made sure I wanted to see if that was still in effect. It's not. You can't do that anymore. which is good. But as far as the regular enemies are concerned, they can't judge altitude properly. And the thing about Raining Blood is it leaves Ryu mid-air for a fairly decent amount of time, at least a couple seconds. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot for a jump. And what the enemies will do is they'll try to punch you, or, it'll hit you with stuff, and Raining Blood has invincibility frames, so even if they do hit you, they won't. But B, they'll usually miss. And if you keep doing it, you're basically invulnerable. True, the combo isn't that damaging, but since you're basically immortal while you're doing it, you can spam the shit out of it and and win fights. Again, spamming a single combo should not be something you should be able to do in the game. That is not something that was tolerated in the original Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. You could not do that. The enemies would actually change their behavior based on what you were doing, and then beat your face in. So as a way of saying, hey, stop doing that combo, you spammy little shit. Ninja Gaiden 2 does not do that. Even on Master Mode, the enemies don't judge things properly. The reason why Master Mode, I didn't really mention this in the response test, so I'll mention this here. The main reason why Master Mode in Ninja Gaiden 2 is a lot harder is that there's more enemies in general, for the most part, from what I've seen, and that there's stronger enemies earlier in the game. That's more where the difficulty comes from in Master Mode, which isn't like it was in Ninja Gaiden Black. The AI is very similar, so some of the things you can do to exploit the game in normal mode can be done in Master Mode. Not as easily, it's true, but they can still be done. You have to try a bit harder, but they can be done. So while it makes the game more challenging, it doesn't necessarily mean that the problems aren't there, was what I'm saying. His next point, let me find it here. No, you didn't. You didn't play on a harder mode. If you did, then you wouldn't have this complaint at all, so I'm not convinced you played on this game on the harder mode. I don't know how I'm supposed to convince you. I did, because I did. I didn't play it all the way through on Master Mode, that is true. I think I played maybe the first 2 levels. I didn't play too far, because I was too mad at the game. Or was it very hard mode? I don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure it was Master. I know Regno played it on Master. He played through a big chunk of the game on Master. And in fairness, I will point out that a lot of things that I know about Master are coming partially from experience, but a lot of it comes from his experience with Master, stuff he's shown me, via what he's played, what he did in his Let's Plays. He's a real life friend, so I know. So he shows me stuff he did back then. That's where most of my knowledge from Master comes from. I admit this, but I did play it a little bit. Not a lot. It's true, but I did. If you don't think I'm as good at I should be able to talk about the game until I played Master Mode all the way through and beaten the game on it. Well, that's a matter of opinion. I don't think that's fair, because here's my question. What makes Ninja Gaiden so special that someone should have to play through on the hardest conceivable difficulty in order to do a proper review of it? Because by that logic, there's plenty of games sitting around here. In fact, basically every game I own I've reviewed so far, with the sole exception of Alan Wake, which I did play through on Nightmare Mode, I shouldn't have reviewed ever. Because I didn't play them on the hardest difficulty settings. And if I didn't do that, that means I don't know anything about the game. The fact that most of the complaints that I had are different on Master Mode doesn't mean that the complaints aren't there. You shouldn't have to play through on the hardest possible setting to fix the game. That should not be. It shouldn't be that way, especially when, again, it's not available at the start. You have to play through, as you say, rudimentary, normal experience before you can unlock Master Mode. That isn't good. Whether you believe me, whether that I played Master Mode at all, whether or not, whether you believe that I played through a little bit, like I say, and that's not enough, it doesn't really matter. The point is, I shouldn't have to play it on Master Mode to be able to review a game competently. That should not be the case. It's that case with no other game on the market right now. That's ridiculous. Things are different on Master Mode. That is true. You are right. But the problems that exist in normal mode shouldn't exist in normal mode. You shouldn't have to remedy a game's issues by playing it in a harder difficulty setting. That isn't good. Okay, his next point. I didn't read my response to that, but I basically just gave it anyway, so, the game doesn't auto-select the scythe for you. You can change the weapon once you get it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get the achievement of completing the game with only one weapon. That's not even an issue. And neither the scythe issue, which can, once again, be challenged on a harder difficulty level. Wait, what? Oh, well, that the scythe is broken, right? Well, the scythe is fucking broken! I don't care what you say, it is. You can... It puts you immediately in a level where there's long hallways, where the ultimate attack goes straight down them, and it destroys every single enemy in the hallway. That's freaking retarded. But anyway, the game definitely did auto-select the scythe for me. I would not have said that. I had just played the game when I did the review. I would not have said that if it was not true. What I think happens... and I say this in a response, and I'm going to stop reading my direct responses. I can basically just verbalize myself here. What I think happens is that the game doesn't auto-select it on secondary playthroughs. Once you play through the game once, it doesn't do it again. Because I know for a fact that the very first playthrough auto-selects the scythe when you get to the Colosseum. That is correct. First playthrough. Beyond that, I don't think it does it after that. But I know it does it the first time because it did it to me. I would not have said it if it was not true. That's very simple in that case. The game doesn't encourage anything, dude. Again, achievement points. Now it definitely encourages you to use the scythe by auto-selecting it. It does. That is a simple fact. I don't know why it would auto-select the weapon if it didn't want you to use it. Another problem I have with this review is they keep flip-flopping. First you complain that it's too hard. Actually, I first complained that it was too easy, I'm pretty sure. That was the first thing. Anyway. Then you complain that it's too easy. This is a problem I have with your review for this game. It's never consistent. Okay. I never complained that the game was too hard. Never did those words come out of my mouth, I don't think. I would not, I don't think, if they did, I phrased this badly. And that's possible. It's an older review. The issue I have with the difficulty, after I got done, complaining about how, stupidly easy the game can be, the fact is, the game is never consistent, for one, when it comes to a difficulty, but mainly because there's a lot of, as I say, artificial difficulty. Where there are times where you walk around a corner and a thief just jumps out and then beats your face in. This is something that no amount of skill can ready you for, nor can it predict, and I'm pretty sure it's undodgeable. It may be avoidable if you're really ready for it. I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure it's a scripted event. When the only way the game can be harder is by scripting enemies to beat you up. Several times that happens, by the way. That is terrible design. The game should not be challenging based off of scripted events. It should be based off of outright skill. And again, when it comes to the normal modes, it's not. Especially, if it was, they wouldn't have felt the need to put in these ridiculous scripted events where enemies jump out from corners and beat your face in, and there's no way you can avoid it. There's no way you can possibly be ready for that. Especially the armadillo. The armadillo is such bullshit. Okay, no amount of skill can prepare you for the armadillo explosion. It's not an inconsistent complaint to point out that the few aspects that are difficult in the game aren't skill based. They aren't. They're based off of luck, essentially. But not even luck, just based off of repetition. It's tedious because you have to know that the armadillo is going to explode, which you won't unless somebody told you. You won't know that those that those fiends jump out from the magical corner of death and punch your face in. You won't be ready for it. You don't know that. So the game is not the game's flawed in the sense that most of the difficulty comes from things that are not inherently based on the skill of the player. They're based off of, repetition and tedium. That's bad. That's not good design, especially for a Ninja Gaiden game. Because again, Ninja Gaiden Black was not like that. The Tiger Fang and the Dragon Claw swords actually happen to be one of the fastest weapons in the game in terms of speed and power. In fact, a lot of the Ninja Gaiden 2 fans I've talked to said that it rivals the Scythe in a lot of ways. Okay, to clarify, you do have to level. The dual swords are probably the only weapons in the game that really don't start getting good until you level them up, and they are probably the only weapons in the game that really are based around skill. For the most part, button mashing does not work with them. They're too slow that way. The fastest way to do it is to learn the combos. And if you learn the combos, they're very rewarding in that sense. That is accurate. That is probably true, and I didn't say that in my review, and I should have. I concede on that one. To be honest, my biggest issue with the dual swords is that fully leveled up, an ultimate attack will actually kill some of the early bosses instantly, which is ridiculous. That should not. I don't think that should be. But in terms of the combos, in terms of being skillful, they're probably the best designed weapons in the game. Simply because you actually have to know how to use them in order to get any results out of them. Similarly to what I said about the tonfas, there's actually there's an invulnerable combo with the tonfas you can do. But the thing about the tonfas is, once again, you have to know how to do it. And it's not very easy to do unless until you master it. So there is some variability in the weapons. It is accurate to say that if you use certain weapons, you will get more. The gameplay will be more skill based. If you use certain ones, and if you learn them, they're more rewarding because of that. Which is, again, something I should have said in the review. My bigger complaints with the fact that a lot of the weapons, especially the ones that are auto-selected, like the Scythe, are so fucking broken. It's like, why would a normal player use the other weapons when you have, the fucking Scythe, or the regular sword, or the Lunar, which are, retarded. You can kill basically everything by, with very little effort. That's bad, but it's true that if you switch weapons, use even the Kasurigama in many ways is a lot more skill based than the others. It just has a ridiculous ultimate attack, but I guess really every weapon in the game has a ridiculous ultimate attack. This is a game trait in general. So anyway, he follows up by saying, "You do bring up a good point with the AI, and I think it's one of the few things I can agree with. So that's good. So yeah, I adhere to that." And I'm glad you do, because if anyone tries to argue with me about the AI actually being good in this game, you are so beyond wrong, it's not even funny. Again, the AI is so fucking buggy. It's not... whether it be the werewolves and the stupid table, or whether... Really, the problem with the AI is that outright most of the issues are caused because the AI has no fucking clue how to judge altitude. At all. At all. Whether it be their own altitude, where they're standing, or whether it be Ryu's altitude. The early glitch with the table where you could stand on and the werewolves wouldn't be able to do anything to you was caused because they thought Ryu was in midair, I believe. Now they don't do that, but now they have no idea how to get down. Because now they don't judge it. Now when they get on the table, they judge it. The werewolves are judging it based on their level. And when Ryu is on the ground, they don't know that he's not on their level anymore. They just assume that he's at ground level because it's programmed to say that no matter where they're standing, they're always on ground level, even though you're lower than them. They don't know that. All the AI does that. All the AI has no idea. Whether if you're on a different platform, there's AIs that will run towards you off of cliffs, and continue running towards you because they have no idea that you're not right in front of them. They think, I gotta go kill him, but there's a fucking gap. It doesn't work that way. And there's I showed multiple cases of that happening in the game. So I'm glad you were willing to admit that that is true, because I showed plenty of evidence that does happen, no matter what difficulty you're on. That is a serious issue. It was worse at launch. It's a little bit better now, but it's still pretty bad. The point about Ryu's targeting system being off, however, is inaccurate on your end. You have to aim the directional pad in the direction you want to attack in. You can be near destroyable furniture and still attack properly. You just have to use the directional button. That's probably true. The only thing I'll say to that is, why are the couches targetable at all? Destructible is one thing. Why are they targetable as enemies are targetable? Why can I... Let's say an enemy and a couch are right next to each other, which can happen, and I use an ultimate attack towards them both. There are times where Ryu will decide that the couch is much better to hit and waste an ultimate attack on. Why is furniture targetable in general? Why does furniture always take this to have the same priority as the deadly werewolf standing next to it? Why is that the case? Directional pad aside, I shouldn't even be able to target furniture. Okay, that mistake shouldn't even be able to happen because it's dumb. There's no reason you would ever want to target furniture. I mean, sure, if you want to smash stuff, but it being breakable and it being targetable are two different things. And to be honest, whether directional pad again aside, I just don't see a reason why, even if they're targetable, they shouldn't be a higher priority over the enemies. Simple as that. You are aware that most action games will have a lot of repetitions, right? This is why I feel you're biased in this case, because you're complaining about repetitive combat in this title. You praise other games like Devil May Cry 4, which had a lot of repeating actions in that game. For Nero especially. That's just one observation on my end. I'm actually going to concede on this one, because he's probably right. My response to this is mainly that my bigger issue with Ninja Gaiden 2 is not the repetitive combat. It can be repetitive, like, you know, to the point where I'll just run past enemies because the game lets you do that, which I don't think it should be able to do that. But it's true that I'm willing to tolerate repetition in games I enjoy. Ninja Gaiden 2 I'm not able to tolerate, but in fairness, my anger towards Ninja Gaiden 2 is less about the gameplay and more about the bugs. I say this in my response to him, effectively, but hypothetically speaking, if Ninja Gaiden 2 had been launched without the issues, without the bugs that it had, leave the gameplay alone for a second. Throw that out of the equation. Had it been launched with none of the fucking bugs, all the retarded enemy AI problems, with all the blatant glitches, with all the everything like that, had those not been factors, I probably would have liked the game. I probably would have been able to get past the fact that it was easier than the old one. Because I tell you what, it can be fun. In many aspects. It can be a very enjoyable experience. A very satisfying experience if you know where to look in the game. I don't think the gameplay is as good as the first game. I don't think it's even close, to be honest. But it is fun. It can be. Especially if you just like going in and killing things. If that's what you're in for, the game is probably for you, to be honest. The Sigma version, though. Because my big problem with Ninja Gaiden 2 isn't so much that the gameplay is broken. It is, a little bit. But it's really... I probably made a very big mistake in my review for probably spending more time talking about the gameplay when what I should have really focused on were the bugs. Because the way that game was shipped was not $60. That was not premium content. That was not what I paid for. And as a consumer and as a gamer, I don't feel that is justified. I don't think that's okay. That's my big issue with the game, is that the glitches were just so bad. At many points almost deplorable. Again, there were times where the game would be broken. You couldn't beat it. There was a period in time where you had to go in and delete all your updates and play offline on the 360 in order to even beat the game, which you should not have to do. You should not. Maybe on a PC launch, because PCs are funny like that, but on a console release, no, you shouldn't have to do that. Furthermore, I can swim in lava, and I will never get over that. Never. I'm not letting it go. I'm sorry. Really? Come on. That's where I just threw that's where I was just so fucking done. I mean, nobody can defend that. Not that. Anyway. As far as the other points you bring up, it's mostly just you repeating yourself all over and reiterating the points you already made in your previous Ninja Gaiden 2 review. Again, most of this can be changed in the change in difficulty. Not swimming in lava, it can't. And the glitches get worse in Master Mode, just saying. But I'm at least happy that your style reviewing is as someone improved. I believe this means somewhat. A bit too much like Spoony, but I guess it's better than your previous style. So I got to give you credit on that. Okay. So closing thoughts. Ninja Gaiden 2, I still hate the fucking game. Okay. The reason I made this video is because a lot of people get really, agitated about the game, about my review, and I really don't regret the initial review at all. The only thing I regret is that if I misspoke at a time, which may have happened. I don't think I did, from memory serves, but I may have said a couple things, but I clarified that in this video. But again, like I said, my main issue is with the bugs in the game. Master Mode is better from a gameplay perspective because it's more challenging. That is correct. You will get your ass beat in Master Mode if you just press the Y button. That is true. However, bugs are a bit more frequent in Master Mode. Because there's more enemies, mainly. And there's larger enemies and more powerful enemies in areas they wouldn't normally be, things like that. The result is that the game can be a bit more buggy. In many aspects. And again, this is all about the 360 launch. I have a funny feeling that a lot of the people who watched my review played the Sigma version. If you played the Sigma version, my review is not for you. Your version is fine. It's not as good as Ninja Gaiden Black on the Xbox. It's not as good as the original. But it's certainly playable. It's a fun, decent game. It's, it's Ninja Gaiden. It's fine. Not the 360 launch. Not with how many glitches that had. The game was it wasn't finished. I felt like a fucking beta tester the first few weeks. That's how bad it was. That shouldn't be that way. Whether or not the fanbase tolerated it aside, that doesn't change the fact the glitches weren't there. Because they were. And that alone completely ruined the experience for me. I might have had fun with the game had it not been for that. Had I been able to actually, beat it, for example, had not gotten not gotten stuck in walls, being able to judge altitude, everything I mentioned, all the problems with the initial launch, had all that not been the case, I probably would have had fun with the mechanics. Even remaining even as imbalanced as I find the weapons to be, it doesn't kill the experience. That alone doesn't make it a bad game. What makes it a bad? What makes the initial launch a bad game are the bugs. That is what bothers me the most about the game. And I don't think I really spelled that out in my initial review, and that in particular I think could have been handled better. But beyond that, that's all I gotta say about Ninja Gaiden 2. This went way longer than I thought it would, but I guess I got my point across, I hope. I hope people... I don't think anyone who really hated on that review, though, is gonna watch this, because it's so long. But if you did, thank you for watching. Hopefully we can agree to disagree. I don't mind if you like the game, even on the 360 version. I don't know why you do, but I don't mind it. I don't have an issue with people who like games. Have fun with it if you are. I just don't. So until next time, this is Darkness. I bid you all a fond farewell.